Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Rocket Rabbit Commentaries as we finally start up the actual campaign of Legacy of the Void in StarCraft 2 from Blizzard Entertainment.
Man, talk about a cold opening in the cold depths of space.
The swarm
Brought ruin to our world.
Our proud people became refugees.
I mean, our armor's still really nice, though.
And yet, they could not shatter our unity.
Hi, Probius.
Charge!
For we are bound by the color, the sacred union of our every thought and emotion.
Yep, shared consciousness, yep.
Allowing them to do slow-mo action scenes. Mwah!
Dun, dun, dun. Glory, the Protoss kind.
No burrowed banelings. Aw, poor Zealot number 2. He has been slayed by the banelings.
Man, if only our slow-motion multiplayer could be this well animated.
I mean, we could try Archon, but, you know, I'm pretty sure we'd end up getting our butts kicked.
Courage, brother. Courage. Raise
And plus,
yourself
our
up
Archons
with
don't
our
look as
swords.
cool as this one does.
Together, we create time travel. So can you fuse together two Templars in order to make one super overwhelming giant?
Yes! You've been able to do that since StarCraft Classic.
Nice.
Two high Templars make an Archon. I have shown off Archons a little bit. But they are not as powerful as they are in this cutscene. An Archon usually loses to an Ultralisk.
Peace and quiet.
No. There's still a whole Zerg swarm right here. With Banelings
Damn
and
it.
Hydralisks.
We are fucked, despite our unity.
Hey, look! Probius successfully summoned a Pylon.
Today, we retake our homeworld.
And by we,
And with it,
I mean by our expanded unit capacity.
A funny story, actually. The lore behind the Protoss ability of warp in units is that they already have these units in orbit, so they shouldn't actually require pylons in order to expand their supply cap. With the threat of the Zerg Queen absent, the Protoss hierarch Artanis raised a massive invasion fleet. Yes, expect a large portion of a significant portion of our runtime throughout Legacy of the Void proper is going to be on cutscenes, because there's a lot of production value in this campaign. It makes it a really good movie to watch, but at the same time, the pacing of the campaign feels very off-kilter once we get into the
at
middle.
long last, we stand at the threshold of destiny.
Hey,
For
Artanis.
today, we will restore the glory of our legacy.
If you recall, when we did the Protoss Brood War campaign, Artanis was just a pilot of a scout. Now he's leading the entire golden armada.
And may the Kala's light guide us.
The invasion fleet
Hey, Cylindus, you're a new character.
Only your command hierarchy.
Yeah, seriously. The thought had occurred to me as soon as it said, "Oh, damn it, the Zerg Queen is absent. Where are all the chicks?"
Well, there are actually very few female Protoss. A majority of them ended up over with the Nerazim faction. But, you know, that is a matter of circumstance.
This heretic cannot be trusted.
Zeratul is not a heretic.
The prophecy will be fulfilled.
Will engulf the entire galaxy.
We must consult the Oracle.
Interference that brought ruin to Aiur.
No, it wasn't.
And that burden weighs heavily upon me. found a way to stand against the coming darkness.
It was in the
I
prologue.
have a flashlight. And it takes AA batteries. A single unit.
Far too many have sacrificed in the hopes that this moment would come to pass.
Artanis, Zeratul is very rarely wrong about his prophecies, so this is you being stupid. I mean, you're invading what is officially now a Zerg homeworld with a mass contingent of zealots, and like, don't you know that one of the Zerg's best units is the Mutalisk? It's super expensive, but they own this planet now, so they should have a full contingent, well, a full swarm of Mutalisks in the air at pretty much all times.
So, that brings me to a question. Who would you rather play as? Would you rather play as, you know, the all-knowing and all-seeing and never wrong, an infallible character, or would it break the narrative even more if you play as a character like Zeratul, who, yeah, he makes mistakes, he sees things that aren't there, makes the wrong moves.
Well done, Selendis.
You're describing Artanis, not Zeratul. Like, Zeratul's been wrong a total of twice throughout the entire StarCraft war.
Across the surface of Aiur.
And the first time he was wrong, he didn't actually say anything, so...
Well, the question stands. Who would you rather play as? Would you rather play as Artanis would you rather play as Zeratul the Infallible, or Artanis the whatever dude? He just came off the shop floor.
Well, for the narrative that we get, to be perfectly honest, Artanis is actually a pretty likable protagonist. The problem that the problem that we end up having with this narrative is that, well, Artanis, although is the center point of the story, we spend a lot of time regretting this particular invasion. And despite the fact that it looks like that we're winning, we are not. No, it just looks like we're winning.
Too easy. My brothers, it seems that victory is at hand, but what is this? The Zerg middle finger, inscribed in the stone.
Alright, so the units we have right here are the Zealots, the Stalker, the Immortal, and the Colossi. I've gone over these units a little bit in the previous parts, but with the exception of the Colossi. The Colossus unit is honestly a really, really good siege unit. It's got really long range, it's got an area of effect attack, it can climb up cliffs. It's honestly one of the best new units that Protoss get access to. Nice. It takes a while to build, it's relatively inefficient on supply, and because of its size, it's treated as an aerial unit for specific combat. And that ends up being its big problem, because it can't shoot up. Like a majority of the good Protoss units, its specificity is a big problem for it. The inability to shoot up means that that even when we finally do get Colossus, we're only going to be using it for exactly one mission. I do like the thermal lance, mind you. It is a great goddamn attack, but because it only affects grounded targets, it's not a unit that I ever actually want to have a decent amount of it in my team. I'd rather have a bunch of Immortals, especially the factional Immortals that we will be getting later, that have the ability to attack up, just at a very long cooldown.
Most of For Aiur is in fact an A move mission. What?
Okay, what Pasquerda is referring to there is a bit of community jargon. A move is what happens when you select your entire armed forces, decide where you want them to go, and then use the attack command in order to cue a movement for them to go over there. What this does, it'll have them automatically attack any hostile threats that they detect. And if you do this mission correctly by putting your Immortals in front, you will pretty much never actually lose units. Because that is what this mission is trying to teach you is that this is the mentality that the Protoss are in right now. We have spent the last couple of years building up this invasion fleet for this purpose, to just absolutely steamroll the remaining Zerg on Aiur. And it looks like it's going pretty goddamn well. It's not in actuality, but it looks like it's going well. This invasion is really it's properly planned out, but the plans that they're using aren't all that accurate. Is the thing.
Bad intel.
This hive cluster has fallen. Continue on, brothers.
And Celindus gives us more zealots.
Ready your A commands.
Oh, and a couple stalkers. I'm not sure if I brought up the stalkers have blink. You'll notice that we actually do have a single spell down there, which is the stalkers blink command. It allows the stalkers. I most certainly have gone over it in both Wings of Liberty and the prologue, because several of the missions are built around the ability to blink around the map. More spine crawlers.
Destroy their pokies.
With our ranged flamethrowers. Mwah.
We will cleave their red entrails with our energy blades.
Yeah, that's right. Zealots are using side blades. They're just not as sophisticated as the Dark Templar side blades. You know what? Maybe that's why Zealots cost 2 supply, because they have both the unit and the fact that their weapon is a side blade. And back in StarCraft 1, both Zerg and Protoss referred to their supply as Psi. But yeah, 4 Aiur is a very easy mission to actually finish. Getting the achievement objectives in it requires a bit more micromanaging, but is not honestly difficult to do. It just requires some amount of micromanaging, making sure that your zealots aren't immediately dying when they die by these points.
A is for Aiur.
This is honestly a very goddamn cool set piece, which shows off what the Protoss can do when they actually have their combined forces behind them. The ability to just absolutely raise sections of a world very quickly with these very powerful elite units. However, just because this looks very cool doesn't mean it's effective, because we have better weapons than what we're using here available to us. I mean, I don't think that the Golden Armada technically has planet destroyers in their arsenal right now, but they most certainly have planet destroyers available before the fall of Aiur. And I kind of want to know what happened to that fleet.
Hydralisk.
That's an Ultralisk, Mr. Cloud.
Ultralisk.
There's also Hydras down there, though, so. Yeah. Go, my contingent of zealots! Storm the spine crawlers! Quite interestingly, we don't actually get High Templar during this mission, which I know is actually a good thing for me, because I'm absolutely terrible with High Templar, but it's kind of weird that we don't actually use any of our more complicated units for this mission, simply because we most certainly have access to them, thematically, given how the opening has us, using a High Templar and an Archon as a advanced scout in order to put down some pylons. And well, I do believe we should be finishing 4 Aiur this part. I didn't think we would whilst I was editing, hence the calling me out for it. But more Nidus worms.
Show the Zerg no mercy.
Unfortunately, what you get to see here is what happens when your army composition isn't exactly, well organized. Like, if your immortals are always in the front and there isn't a decent way around them, your zealots will get stuck behind them, because as Protoss, one of the biggest problems that you're gonna end up running into consistently is fucking sizes and pathing. Jesus Christ. 3rd game in a row where Protoss has pathing problems. They're not as bad as they were in StarCraft 1, thankfully, but they are still bad.
Your fate is... You
And
shall
with that, we have
not
slain the
pass.
hybrid. Woohoo!
This is the end of your...
The warp conduits have been secured.
Thank you,
Our
Celendis.
starfighters are moving to take this fight across the surface.
I mean, she's using Phoenixes, which are terrible units for this, but, you know.
Zeratul,
There's a carrier.
you and I must discuss this most recent turn of events further.
And in the next episode, we'll be continuing on with Legacy of the Void, with the Legacy of the Void campaign into the next mission. Shadow of the Colossus and in Living Kala. Yay! Be safe, everybody.